What fool thing is Johnny doing now? Was writing yet another Lee Hacklin mystery. And this one is called The Quarterback of Notre Dame. Here we go, Chapter 2. Have you ever noticed, Lee, that no good deed goes unpunished? Every time I save the world, which is often. Well, a day now. That's why we're here. A complete waste of time and energy, if you ask me. Nobody did, Dean, and we're in this man's office, not yours. You will comport yourself accordingly. Carl Custer, the Dean of the University of Notre Dame, Indiana State, harumphed. You and your bravado. I have a stack of resumes on my desk a mile high for men far more qualified than you who are chomping at the bit for your job. And I've got offers from universities around the world to coach their teams. I get at least one a week. Dean, do you know what the difference is between you and me? No, but I can't wait for you to tell me. And yes, I'm being sarcastic. My daddy isn't a state senator who rewards his supporters with other people's money. My father's a great American. Great at what? Silence. Anyway, we're here for Ken. Or did you forget already? His name was Reg Larkin. He was head coach of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish football team. He was just shy of his twilight years, Jack LaLanne level fit, and wore a silver whistle on a string around his neck. I walked over to my coffee maker, and poured 3 cups. Unable to help myself, I asked Larkin, "Wet your whistle?" "Don't mind if I do, thanks." Dean Custer, I don't drink that swill. I'm one of those weirdos who has an aversion to cancer. I took my cup back to my desk, sat, lit a blue buzzard, and said, "I'm with you, Dean. Tell me about Ken." To my astonishment, Reg, a close look-alike for Charles Bronson, burst into tears. I handed him some tissue, and he nodded gratefully. Ken was 19. He was way overweight and addicted to sweets. So was I when I was his age. Smart cookie, though. He could build a computer using paper clips and Tic Tacs, and he loved football. He tried out, of course, but he was hopeless and inept, and clumsy as hell. I don't mean to speak ill of the dead, but that's the way it was. He couldn't throw, he couldn't catch, he couldn't run more than 10 feet without stopping and falling to his knees. The only thing he was good at was getting tackled. The other boys laughed at him. From what I heard, some of them played cruel pranks on him in class and after school, too, especially our star quarterback, Tommy Savanti. During the day of Ken's tryout, Tommy pulled his uniform pants down in front of the other boys. Ken did the darndest thing after he pulled his pants up. He kicked Tom's kneecap, hit the sweet spot, the sour spot, really, and destroyed his career. It was a big local news story. I mean, everybody at Notre Dame was talking about it. Kenny lived with his mom. The next morning, she found him in his bedroom, dead. During the night, someone had snuck in through the window and smothered him with his own pillow. It takes a sick soul to do such a thing. There were exactly 3 people at his funeral. Myself, his mother, and a Presbyterian minister whose name I've forgotten. It's very sad what happened to Tom, but he's alive and Kenny's dead. The little effort, as far as I could tell, and I stuck my nose in whenever I could, believe you me, our local cops made, have yielded exactly 0 arrests thus far. I'll bet most of those guys are happy Ken's dead. A lot of people back home, I'm ashamed to say, think that what happened to Ken was an act of justified retribution. Nobody will say it out loud. Nobody has to. I looked at Dean Custer. He was studiously examining his fingernails. Any light you'd like to shed on this, Dean? Or am I interrupting whatever it is that you're doing there that's more important than the murder of a teenager? He harumphed, his all-purpose noise apparently, and said, I want to see Ken's killer brought to justice as much as anyone, but our good Coach Larkin here brought me to the stinking city, kicking and screaming. This is the merriest of Hail Marys. That's a football reference, right? I wanted to ask, but didn't. What I knew about football could fill the eye of a needle, almost. Reg said, Lee, if you agree to take this case, you can stay in our guest house. My wife, Arlene, she's already made it up for you. She can't wait to meet you. We have a son, Rick. He's 10. He loves Batman, Sherlock Holmes, and he wants to be private eye just like you. Oh, and our guest house has a fully stocked wet bar. I read your interview in American Detective magazine. You said that you were partial to male ale beer. I laughed and said, Consider my arm twisted, Coach. I'm in. Custer lifted his right buttock and broke wind. His excuse me was colder than an ice cube. If you go through life expecting love from everyone you encounter, you're only asking for a world of hurt. That brick wall you're beating your head against isn't going anywhere. Thanks for watching. Happy Sunday. And don't forget, God loves you. Cheers.